Ladies and gentlemen, now in today's video, I want to talk about the Q1 financial results for Marvel Contest of Champions, and why I oddly think that this is a good thing for the game. So, the quarter that we had, Q1, which is January till the end of month, was the lowest ever in the history of Marvel Contest of Champions. But again, this range is from January until March, and if we recap the release of content that we had in that period, it's nothing. We had no Abyss of Legends, we had no 6.4, and in that period last year, we had the release of the Abyss, we had the Grandmaster fight, and also throughout that period as well, a lot of people spent a lot of money getting Act 6 100% done for the Act 6 rewards as well. So in comparison to the previous year, there was so much more to spend money on. On top of that, they've released 6 champions in this period, dude, and like, they've all been duds apart from Strife, at least on launch in my opinion. Like, Odin really wasn't that exciting on launch. Like, the Halo synergy was really good, but also a lot of people didn't really go ham on Odin for the crystals because he wasn't anything close to like a game-changing champion. And then we got Mangog as well. Again, Mangog is just a massive noodle. Super Scroll, massive noodle. Psycho Man, massive noodle. Strife, awesome champion. And then we got Jubilee, who's like just a bit meh in the mutant class. Again, the mutant class has a big problem with like having way too many good characters that you've got to be absolutely broken to stand out. And Jubilee's a good character, but good, again, there's like 30 good champions in the mutant class. You've got to be really broken in order to be a character that's worthy of rank up materials. So yeah, overall, man, in comparison to different quarters, this is a really dead lineup of champions. So like, looking at this financial period, dude, like what are people spending money on? There's no like big sale or anything, man. Again, it's toward the end of March as well, so at this point, the Cavalier Crystals didn't actually get buffed until, I believe it was the start of April, so nothing about the finances of Cavalier Crystal sales since the buff are actually included in this report, and I know this was a time as well after Christmas, where you have like the Greater Gifting Crystals, the gifting event, there was so much free stuff, and everything else, usually in January and February, feels very underwhelming in comparison. The side events, like, just sucked and were very boring for the most part. Especially like Jubilee's arcade, man, there just wasn't like that much hype or anything going on. So like, looking at what actually happened in the period of the first 3 months this year is like nothing. There was like no incentive to spend any money. So the fact they still made, what is that, like 65 million, dude? They're absolutely laughing. There's absolutely nothing to spend money on. So I have no idea how they still brought that home, because usually there's like a few things in the period where people would shell out, but I guess it was carried by some sort of like Odin hype and just new players getting into the game, buying bundles and Strife sales. That is pretty much all I can think of as to the reasons of why people would actually spend money. So the fact that they still managed to maintain like this height in terms of their revenue over this period is bonkers. It's absolutely crazy considering like nothing happened in that period. And again, if we compare it to like Marvel Future Fight, again, Marvel Future Fight's like best month ever, dude. It's still like, what is it? It's still so much lower in comparison to our worst month ever, where we have like no content coming and no good champions that people really want to wail out on. And you know, for comparison, dude, you know, we're like halfway through the second quarter at the moment. We've had April. People have gone a little bit ham on Cavalier Crystals. I'm definitely seeing at least on YouTube and my timeline on Twitter as well, a lot more people spending when new champions come out, because you've got such a higher drop rate on the featured characters, and even just regular ones, you know, they feel so much better to go for in comparison. So, you know, we've got buffed Cavalier Crystal drop rates, we've had the release of Variant 7, although that really required much spending. We're going to have the release of Act 7.2, so that's going to be a little bit sweaty, I would imagine. But also, like, coming up next month as well, we've got the release of the Grandmaster's Gauntlet, which is apparently like this Abyss of Legends level challenge. Not to mention as well that currently in game at the moment, as of a week and a bit ago, we have the Karina challenges, and I know that's been for a lot of players like a pretty decent source of spending or like dumping your units. And again, they've kind of got this strategy, I think I kind of see what they're doing at the moment, is where they're just like hitting the end game players with like all of the content at once, so they don't have time to actually save up their revives and resources and health potions. It's like, you know, we'll hit him with a variant, man. Then all of the Karina's challenges, then a little bit of 7.2, then the Grandmaster's Gauntlet, then there's going to be the Summer of Pain. They're just doing back-to-back stuff to drain down kind of this massive amount of resources that endgame players have accumulated to try and get them to spend a little bit more, along with like buffing up the Cavalier Crystal rates. So I think Q1 has been good for kind of forcing maybe better changes into Q2. Again, like after this worst quarter ever, we immediately saw a buff to the Cavalier Crystals, man. I think that's already had some correlation, because they would have had those figures for quarter one, kind of rounding up toward the end of March, looking at them, being like, okay, right, this is the point where we've dipped down. If we don't start doing some stuff to start recovering the game, again, this is going to be very bad. And this is where we've had, again, buff Cavalier Crystals, a roadmap of content moving forward. So, you know, at the end of the day, one thing I always know to be true is that Kabam love money. And wallets talk, man, and people, they speak with their money over a long period of time. And it really got to the point with the previous Cavalier Crystal drop rates where people are like, dude, these just suck so much. They feel terrible. Like, even my feedback, you know, I wrote directly to Kabam and I said, look, I get paid to open Cavalier Crystals. No money comes out of my back pocket. I've got sponsors. I get paid to open hundreds of dollars worth of Cavalier Crystals, and I hate it. It feels terrible, man. It feels so bad. Like 80% of Cavalier Crystals, maybe even higher than that last year that I did in terms of big crystal openings. Like after the Cavalier Crystal opening, I was just sitting here like this, you know, I've got absolutely nothing. And then I'd just be like, what am I doing, man? Like this game sucks. The rates are terrible. And on the side as well, I'm playing Seven Deadly Sins, and Seven Deadly Sins, the rates they fluctuate a fair bit from banner to banner, but at least there's always guaranteed stuff in Seven Deadly Sins as well. But now it's kind of at the point where I'm actually getting luckier in Marvel Contest of Champions at the moment in comparison to Seven Deadly Sins. But Seven Deadly Sins, dude, is still doing very, very well. And again, if you're not aware, that is the second channel that I have is playing Seven Deadly Sins Grand Cross at the highest level, and I do spend a ridiculous amount of money in that game as well. But it's nice to see that game is trending, you know, very, very healthy there. I think overall, in comparison to the rest of the market as well, my cushion just fell fell off behind me. But I think in comparison to the rest of the mobile gaming market, both games are very, very healthy in terms of their financial position. And also, one thing is Marvel Contest of Champions is a game that is verging on like 6.5 years old. So to still be reliably bringing in this amount of cash, man, is really, really nice. If we have a look at the numbers for Marvel Future Fight, they are on average about 4 to 5 times less profitable per quarter in comparison. So yeah, that is very bad news for Marvel Future Fight. I don't think Marvel Realm of Champions was in this report. I was just having a look at the data that Cam sent over from Twitter, but I know that, yeah, Marvel Realm of Champions, dude, I've been looking at the App Store data on it because I'm very curious about all this stuff, like to follow it quite closely as well. Has been not doing very well, but I know they're getting a little bit back on top of it with the updates, but I think they had such a bad launch for Marvel Realm of Champions that it's probably still going to be about like 6 to 12 months if they really work hard at that game and kind of fix a lot of the core issues and improve the gameplay to something that is, you know, epic, unique, feels really, really good, which at least when I last played it, man, it was very far from that. It was very standard, very basic, very bland, and quite uninspired in the most part. So, you know, if they are just working on tuning that stuff up, maybe it will come back and maybe it will be relevant. But it's kind of interesting to see that, what is it, Transformers Forged to Fight, never been a huge financial success for Kabam, but it's still going, it's still trucking forward. So, you know, it maybe gives me a little bit of hope that one day Marvel Realm of Champions might be a game worth, you know, playing and paying a bit of attention to. But for right now, Marvel Contest of Champions is still Kabam's big money bag. And I would assume that this quarter already, they are flying into it, man. But next month as well, again, with the release of all the content that we've got kind of in the next, like, 45 days, like, Kabam are going to be making a ridiculous amount of money. And if they keep on putting out really good champions as well, like Shang-Chi, I'm curious to see how Mr. Negative is going to be. But also next month as well, we got playable Maestro and Purgatory. So, like, moving forward into quarter two, dude, I think Yeah, we actually might see one of like the biggest financial bounce backs in the history of Marvel Contest of Champions. So I'm very curious to see what this indicates moving forward. And also just one more variable at play as well is that previous quarters and certain sales periods have been driven by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which we don't currently have in like massive operation. Again, the Disney Plus stuff is just starting up, but again, we don't have the release of Black Widow yet, Shang-Chi, new Spider-Man, we got the Eternals coming out, new Doctor Strange, another Thor movie. There is so much stuff in the pipeline within the next 12 months. So as long as Kabam focus on making some really good, some really fun content and keep on putting out like good champions and just fun stuff as well, like I think for the year ahead, man, they're going to be absolutely sorted. So yeah, maybe I'm a bit optimistic, but again, I just wanted to share my perspective. And I don't think Marvel Contest of Champions is dying. I think if they can still make that much money while putting out no content and absolute shite champions, then this game is laughing, man. This game is absolutely laughing. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I've rambled on for long enough today. Thank you all very much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do smash that like button. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.